here. By the way, I have a new wrong button emote too.
Okay, good.
It's a it's actually an animated emote.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Taryn and Mike made it for me. So.
I need to log into chat here.
Yeah, it's the wrong button emote. Where is it?
Awesome.
Here it is.
Oh, that is awesome. And that's the best emote so far. Definitely. Oh, that is awesome.
Gary just gave me 3 that I don't even have listed in my. I better get my notes out somewhere because I don't know anything on any of these.
I was hoping that you guys knew because.
Oh, I have a whole bunch. I mean, yeah.
Okay, good.
And I got some. Good. A lot of Alan Crovis site's good too. Had a lot of good data.
But my contribution is I put together my little list. I Michael put together a little list on my idea of godly power levels and how gods come to be and how they come not to be.
Okay.
How you kill them off and how they come to be and their power levels. So I thought that I could talk a little bit about that. So tease a little bit. I put that to my patrons the other day. So just have this talk. So it's not. It's just the first version. So there are already a couple of things that I need to tweak the names because Joe Block came up with a smart idea saying that Gary already have names on some of the levels, so I didn't rename them so they fit with Greyhawk traditions of quasi-heroes and hero deities and quasi-deities and demigods and stuff, so they get in the right.
Okay. All right, Patrick, can you hear us? Besides me, can you hear music?
Yeah, hopefully.
Hey, Valmoko, Michael, can you hear music? Can you hear them talking?
Hey, Patrick.
Okay, good.
All right, it's fixed. It's fixed.
Yep, perfect.
All right, Carlos is going to come on, I think. Because he said... It's like one of his favorite topics. He said, come on, man. Well, that's good. That's good, Pat. That's a good thing. You hear music. So it turns out somehow I muted. Mike is just sitting there with his hand over his mouth. Yeah, he's hanging out. Yeah, he's here. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
As long as you can hear music. I accidentally muted my speakers on my bottom bar and it split somehow. I must have accidentally clicked on it. Didn't realize I did it, and that's why there was nothing coming out. Like the speakers, which is my headset in this case, was yes. Okay, I'm gonna try something here. I gotta open up Facebook real quick. If I don't kill everything. There we go. It worked. Well, thanks, Pat. You guys can hear it. That's all that matters. Hey, Tim Enoch. I think I think your sub just expired. Don't let Patrick get you, please. Please. Save Patrick.
Got me 2
Save
months in
Patrick
a
$5,
row.
please.
But now I actually managed to do it. I checked before I went on. When I went
Yeah,
on. I have like
it's called the
7
save.
more days. So
Save
I
Patrick
need to-
money.
Yep. Otherwise, he pays for everybody's.
No, he did it! Oh my God, Pat. Oh my gosh. I think he does it just because I said something.
Oh yes.
Oh,
This
man.
time I think he did it just to tease you. Yeah.
Carlos! That was funny.
Hello?
Yo, what's up, man?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
hear me?
Yes.
Oh, he can
Yes, can you hear us?
Yeah. He can hear us, yeah.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. My volume was just low.
Yes.
Sorry.
What's up, Carlos?
Hey, what's happening, guys? I'm
Good.
sorry I'm so late.
No,
It's
it's,
perfect.
it's awesome.
Yesterday I had a house guest. I had Tim Decker over. Some of you guys might know him from the Greyhawk community. Him and his wife came over from Michigan to come visit me and say hello. And
That's awesome.
I was indisposed.
It's
Sorry,
all
I
right,
couldn't get
man. It's all good.
Oh, that's great.
You got the
How's everybody
invite.
doing tonight?
Ah, man. Quasi-Deities, saints, and hero gods.
Oh yeah, of course. It's one of my favorite topics. So
That's
I'm in.
exactly.
I'm in.
Beautiful.
Is there anything I need to know about what we're doing besides that in specific?
We're gonna start on like the evolution of it, and then go from, and then branch out into how they we're also gonna pay tribute to Scott Benny, right?
Okay.
Because Scott passing, that's very. He was so instrumental in this.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
So, but we're gonna
Okay,
start.
cool.
We're gonna start with Dragon 71 with the Quasi-Deity article where it all started.
Okay, so we're gonna do the background about who was whose character and things like that? as
Yeah,
well?
a little bit. I got the article. I already got the Dragon up with a condensed article on it, and we're just gonna go over a bunch of them, and
Okay.
I'm just gonna talk about some power levels. I'm gonna talk about specialty priests, and then we're gonna throw in some others that may not be as well known.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
That'd be an awesome discussion.
It's absolutely one of my favorite topics. So
Yeah,
cool.
and that's what I'm glad to see you. Thank you for hopping in there, man. That'd be
Oh
great.
man, thank you for having me. That's
yeah.
it's really cool to join in. It feels like it's been a million years since I did this. So
Well, it's been it's just you know how we're all running around like nuts now, which is a good thing.
oh my god, it's there's a lot of everybody. We've all got our fingers in so many pies right now that it's
Yeah.
hard to keep up. In
Yeah,
fact,
man.
right now I'm on vacation and a little bit of a hiatus right now.
Oh, good.
I'm taking a little bit of a break so that I can
That's good.
recharge and get myself back together.
Yeah, I got an
Yeah.
involuntary vacation today because they turned off the electricity. Our power company, they needed to do upgrades to the grid, so we were out of power from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So it was good. I could
and I'm
take
off.
walks in the patio and lay and read and stuff. So it was perfect. They should do it more often.
Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just maintaining.
Well, that Jay, that doesn't sound like maintaining over there. You sound ill. Are you okay?
Well, the concrete. So I had to go to the urgent care and get what do you call it? Steroids to get that. It was in how you get those asthmatic reactions after.
Oh yeah.
So it's like whatever the globule things on the end of your they were just like crackling. It was annoying. So I had to get that taken care of. But it's on and off. So. Yeah, well, that's because I didn't move my headset up, Mike. Oh my God, David! I didn't go flip it up like that, like I should have. Oh, you can't see me anyway, so. Duh! I'm all right. I'm all over the place now. My brain's a little fried here. We're getting there. We're good. We're good. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Look at that. We're ahead of time. All right, so just checking the final Discord checks. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. What, you got a hot date or something, David? He's got something. Yep, yeah, okay. This is a busy week. Got 4 streams this week starting tonight. What's up, Zump? Phantom. Good to see you all. A great Mike topic. Mike came up, Quasi-Deities, Saints, and Hero Gods. So. And trust me, there are some I have known nothing about. So, and I imagine we have enough experts on this panel to cover most of them, but some are like,
We'll make it up. They'll never know.
What's that?
I said we'll just make it up.
We'll just make it up. So everyone, I got rid of my love animated emote, so I'm using the other love ones there. Just note, because of this very kind emote there, the wrong button emote that Mike and Taryn made for me, which, you know, I think is pretty poetic. So, you know, it goes right to the heart of my mess that I am there. So, we're close to a hype train there too, man. So someone cheer 100 or do another one and get us to the hype train with all the Patrick gifts. It'll be pretty high. We got it. We'll have some good giveaways tonight too. Let me see what we got here. I'm gonna set that up. Boom.
So hilarious, Jay. I remember when a hype train was so rare back in the day. I mean, and now it just shows how far you've come and how far the channel has come.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's just like almost expectation it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and Carlos, thank you for that. And note that, let's go live here. Note that, like Saturday night's game, we had like 4 hype trains. It's insane, man.
Yeah,
it's just nuts. But the great thing is that the community's growing with everyone. So it's been real fun. Thanks, Long Shot. And thank you, Patrick, and thank you all, community. Hope you're all doing well. And you can hear everyone. Yes. So we got that problem resolved. I don't have to rip my headset off like I did on Sunday night. So I'm Jake.
The first thing I get to see on the sideboard is Saint Kargath as a hero. Oh boy, it's gonna be like that tonight.
It's gonna be a fun discussion. A hype train is David, is 3 different individuals cheering or gift subbing or subbing within a certain time, and then that's the hype because of the support, and then the hype train builds and builds and builds, and then you set goals for it. So, you know, we completed level 2. I'll give out a second giveaway tonight. There you go. That's how easy that was. See. So tonight, and by the way, I'm Jake Lord Gazumba. If you don't know who the hell I am by now, and the 3 great guests we have Greyhawk Mike Bridges, the legendary Adam Meyer, and back, and it's been a little while, but what a wonderful, I know he had a wonderful Gary Con, the legendary Carlos Lysing.
I was going to say, we started like next week. Yep.
Welcome back.
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it's been a couple weeks already. So I'm going to let the winner right now choose any 2 of these for the giveaway, and I'll set that up. Ghost Tower, these are all reprints. Salt Marsh, White Plume, Puppets, if you so dare, and Veil of the Mage, if you really so dare. I'm sorry, I don't think Rick Miller's on yet, so. and that's I'll let you choose those 2. Yes, isn't that? It's a great one. So tonight, Mike came up with a great topic idea because I'm always like, what are we going to do? And Mike's like, here's one. I'm like, bingo, this is a damn home run. I don't know why we haven't done this before. Quasi-Deities, Saints, and Hero Gods. And there's a lot of them in Greyhawk. And they are, I think they give Greyhawk a really cool flavor, you know? And a lot of them are old player characters from Gary's campaign, and that's what we'll discuss. So, Carlos, since you're the guest here, what do you like when you think of this whole process of these 3 different categories? What comes to mind? Well,
I guess, you know, when I think of your the way that the hierarchy of the gods tend to work, you know, you have your favorite servitors below you have your main gods, your the greater gods that are common to every just about every faith, or every people, I should say, on Oerth, whether they be O'Redian or Beclunish or people like that, like Bakab. He's worshipped in several aspects across the Flanaess. Well, his favored servitors are going to be powers in and of themselves, and people who have been perhaps not favored servitors, but they've been sponsored by the god at some point in their career. The heights that they've reached temporally have been enabled by that god. They will eventually gain powers in and of themselves. Not quite true apotheosis, but close to it. And I think that's where you have your hero gods.
Yeah, and I never saw the distinction. Like, we always went with the quasi-deities and the saints. We didn't go with the hero god. And now the more I'm thinking about it, it makes sense. It really does, as far as it's exclamation drawing, Wundar, half elf, exclamation point drawing, and all together, and that'll get you in. Okay. And I think Gary's the one that convinced me on that, actually, to go with that terminology. And I'm sorry, it's 100%. It's 100 degrees in here. Go ahead, Anna, Mike. I'm opening my window. Here you go. I'm doing a little. Oh my God, it's hot. It's like South Jersey hot here. So, Mike, Anna, first thing that comes to mind in this discussion on quasis, saints.
Mike, you go first. Yep.
Okay. So I think that quasi-deities is something that all players should aspire their characters to join those ranks someday.
It's cool.
It's the incentive to keep playing till higher levels. I don't think, I mean, there's no real mechanical rule to it, maybe except in 3rd edition perhaps, but they all do seem to be pretty high level. You got to have the deeds to back up whatever. So that's how I've always played it. They're just, like anything else, if you're a wizard, you probably compare yourself to Mordenkainen. Once you get to Mordenkainen level, then you're comparing yourself to, the quasi-deities and the hero gods.
Good point. I know when we were younger, the characters aspired to get there. But then it kind of, I guess as we grew up, that wasn't the final, goal. So what's up? Hey, Dead Aussie, good to see you, man. Anna, how about you?
Well, first of all, I like the idea that gods are not something static that is just there in the background. I like the fact that they can become a deity, and then it can rise in power. I say it because it could be like female, male, anything, so to speak, and anything in between, and everything else too, in some ways, and meaning it can grow from something into becoming a god, and then be imprisoned or taken back, killed, and stuff like that. And I like that dynamism because that kind of adds a dimension, especially for higher level play, that I think is really cool. And I try to exploit that. And I worked for years on trying to put rules on that, not rules for players and for characters, but rules for me as a DM in world building on characters. So I actually introduced 10 power levels on my gods, from 0 to 10. So yeah. 0
to 10. So there's the super graders and the greater graders.
You have the start with the saints or heroes, or I call them prospects first, but now I think that I have to make the names fit into Greyhawk lore, so to speak. So we start with saints, but the problem is that they can be evil as well as good, so to speak, or neutral. So that's why I try to call them prospects, just because I wanted neutral names, so to speak. But so we start with that, and then quasi-deities, hero deities, minor demigods, major demigods, minor gods, major gods, and then comes the planar nobility, the planar lords, and the ruler of pantheons, and ultimately the supreme beings.
Wow. Anna likes to complicate things.
Oh, yes, exactly. As much as possible.
I like the fact that you codified it so well. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's rules for how gods come to be, and how they live, and how they gain power, and how you can kill them, are built into the system, so to speak.
So here's a question. Where the hell did it all start, right? And if you look right below me, we have this dragon. I believe it started here. Not
Yeah.
sure, but I think it did.
Yeah, because like you pointed out many times, when you started, there were none. In the first folio, there were no gods.
No, there were no gods. There was like,
Yeah.
it was.
So they came in through Dragon and then was introduced in the 83 box set. They were kind of all there, or at least most of them. And then there's been others added afterwards as well.
Yeah, and here is all right. I found this. Come down and take me away in chains. From this taking a PDF. That's a joke. So, all right, because this dragon has the Greyhawk World article, Heward, and I want to read something here. This is from Gary Gygax. This whole article is Gary's. And it says, when our editors were going over the manuscript for Land Beyond the Magic Mirror, the question rose just who were Merlin, Keatims, and Heward. Good question. I replied that they were personages above the status of important characters, and by and large, not quite demigods, and certainly not heroes. They are, in fact, quasi-deities, and I have named them such forevermore. So he's quantifying right here. This is Gary Gygax stating, I'm making this category up of a quasi-deity, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Now, this is right in the heyday of Carlos and me playing, and we're like, oh, this is neat, right, Carlos? I mean,
absolutely. I remember seeing this and eating this up.
Yeah, and we're like, wow, this is really cool. And then he comes down here and he talks about these three are placed, and then it talks about how Kellen has risen, and he'll talk about that in a second. Kellen's risen beyond these three. But then here's I want to show you this because this has changed. The inactive list includes Dairn, Joydy, Nozzle, Qual, and Tourney. Now this is as of Dragon 71. Characters of personage such as Bucknard, Mordenkainen, Odaluk, and Tensor, to name a few, are not as powerful and broadly endowed as the quasi-deities. So Mordenkainen's not. That's interesting for him to say that too in the article. So this is where it starts, is right here in this article. And times Keo characters. Well, that's a good point there, Alex, about Keatim. So we can talk about them. So let's start. These are the four original. I got 5 up. 4. These are the 4 original characters. And you have Heward, Merlin, Keatim, and Kellen. So Carlos, you have a favorite out of these 4?
Out of the first 4?
Yeah. Well,
I think that everybody's favorite is probably Kellen, but not mine.
No,
I would say Heward. Heward is actually my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Heward best. Actually, I take that back. It's either going to be everybody's going to like Heward, or excuse me, Kellen or Merlin. I've used probably Merlin the most, but I do like Heward the best.
Okay, so you do like Heward, and this is really well written up too. It shows you their levels. I mean, he's got like the equivalent. This isn't what they are adventuring. Like he's equivalent of a magic user 10th level in each. Magic user losing this. Okay, big deal. And a 20th level bard. So he's not even a Magnum alumni, right?
Nope.
But he's a quasi-deity.
Yep.
So is this is the company of 7 mostly of these characters? Is that where these come from? All right.
Mostly, yeah.
Someone want to explain the company of 7? We have an article too about them as well. I can throw it up real quick about magic items. Who would like to discuss that if they know about the company of 7, which is where a lot of these characters come from? And here's the article by Rick Miller and Gary about the treasures of the magic of this group, which a lot of these characters are from. So
as our information accumulates through publication, we learn more of these characters, and the history of them keeps fleshing out to the point. At first, we know who they associate with, who they're friends with, who they might be related to. And then gradually, as time goes on, it just becomes reasoned out that they were part of an adventuring group together and ran around with Zagig and around this time. And for that reason, a lot of these quasi-deities you can kind of peg to the contemporary. You know they're all from the same era, and really makes you wonder, like, what was that one company generates 3 or 4 quasi-deities, then
It's kind of like Monty Hall,
Wow.
Hallness almost right there with this, and that's okay in the early days.
that's
You're finding your way.
remarkable.
What's
But
up, Mike?
it seems like becoming a deity is only about gathering enough personal power, meaning skills and magic abilities and stuff like that. And you should reach a certain level, or because when I read these texts, and it was a while since I read them, so I might misremembered stuff, but I didn't get the sense there was no divine story, no story about, but anything. They were like awesome adventures and had fantastic abilities and stuff, but there was nothing beyond that, so to speak.
So, I think, Jay, something you just said, it bears mentioning. Greyhawk always gets this, is painted as being a low magic world by a lot of people, or being, having this gritty realism. But one of the ways in which that I think that people may glean a different opinion of that is a study of the old school, with Gary and his original groups. These characters, by his own admission, were very Monty Hall. Jim Ward will tell you all about how much power and how much treasure these guys would accumulate back in the day. So your characterization of some of these characters as being what we would perceive these days as being Monty Hall is really not inaccurate at all. It's very accurate, as a matter of fact. But that was how they rolled back then. That was
the purpose of the game.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, I think that we've maybe externally and apocryphally we've put this notion on Greyhawk that it's low magic, but not really. Exactly. Especially not that.
Yeah, not early on. I never thought it was low magic. I always thought it was, and that was part of the charm of it. I love the high magic game. I love, it's just part of the fun of it is just, finding these things, finding wonderful items, and, but there's difference between finding that stuff and power gaming too, it's a big difference. And I don't know. Let me read this paragraph right here. Okay. It is very important that quasi-deities be kept in tight control by the DM. Even though they might have once been the character of game participants, their exalted status now moves them to different realms until such time as the campaign is developed sufficiently to allow the free interaction of characters of such power. The DM must control quasi-deities just as other deities in their ilk or the province of the DM. Now, at this point, none of these characters have followers, it appears. They're not being worshipped if they are, but Kellen and as we go through this, so Heward's more like the bard type, right? Heward's the spellcaster and bard type, a very cool character, and then you have Keatim, which excuse me, Antiquitous Alex said is not really developed as much. Tom Keogh's character, right? I guess he named after himself, or I don't know. And he's more of a ranger archer type, if I recall correctly. Actually, no, he's not. He's cleric, druid. Oh my god, look at all the spell casting.
He's an alchemist.
Alchemist all over the place with stuff. 77% magic resistance.
As evidenced by his famous ointment.
Yes, absolutely.
But don't forget, too, a lot of these characters have changed names throughout the day. For example, Jim Ward's character was originally Bombadil before he became known to us as Drawmij, to avoid some IP issues.
Yeah, so that's true, man.
This has happened throughout the years.
That's a great point. That is an absolutely great point.
Yeah, another example, Don Kay's character, Merlin. For Gary Con a few years ago, we were celebrating Don Kay's death, and that's why I wrote the modules that I did that were all Wild West based with the gnomes in them. It was based sort of on Magnificent Seven. It was all a way to celebrate Don Kay's name, but that character originally, Merlin, was spelled Merlin.
Like originally. That, see,
and they just decided, we don't want to get entangled in all that. We want to not have it be so on the nose, so they changed the name.
Yeah. They took just the A out, right? Murlynd, I think is the way it came up.
Yeah. Well, also, originally it was straight up Merlin, Merlin.
Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be happening a lot. So now this character, as you can see, has a gun. And adventure, there was a lot of crossover back then. Jim Ward's Metamorphosis Alpha, and this character is Boot Hill. You know, Adventure to Boot Hill a lot, and that's where he got all his, you know, and it looks like Clint Eastwood, of course, too, the man with no name. So it's one of my favorites. It got a technology. So much so, and I know this is going to drive Gary a little crazy after we get through this. Let's talk about the last one, and that's, now it says here, Kellen, the Prince of Swords, is one of the very powerful individuals who might or might not be a true deity. Thus he is known. Here's our first word. Here's the first hero deity status. So it's actually in this article, and I missed it all those years, that his hero god is in here, right in this Quasi-Deity article. And he is a, you know, he's one of the favorites. A lot of people, you know, he's one of Casey's favorites, of course. Hey, what's up, Justinius? He's a favorite of a lot of players out there, because what's more cool than someone who's fighting with a whole bunch of swords in both hands, you know? So, in Carlos, in your game, are any four of these regularly used with clerical connections in your modules? Or
I
your
have
games?
used 3 of them recently, actually, and not that they make direct appearances. For example, in one of the games I wrote, that one of the NPCs used to be a swordsman. He used to be a teacher that people would go to him for level training. And because he had this great hubris and he was super proud. And one day a stranger came to his camp to duel with him, and it turned out to be Kellen. And he lopped his left arm off as a way of humbling him.
Ooh.
That was one way he was maimed, as a way of humbling him. Another instance is I ran a game at GaryCon in which Heward's mystical organ was the centerpiece of it. And finally, we ran a game that, the Seven Gnomish Brothers thing with Merlin that I did. Everybody, all of them,
right,
wore the holy symbol of Merlin on their chest, which made them look like cowboys.
Yes, in Nome Septim.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What an awesome.
Justinius, you played in that one. I hope you liked it. If you didn't, don't tell anybody, please.
What's up, Curtis? Good to see you. So, what happens from this point? And notice that this Kellen, he has special weapons, but I don't know if they're really Sure Guard. There we go. Sure Guard, +6 broadsword of glass steel adamantite. Oh my god, and it's Frostbrand also. So he's got some really nice items here. Swiftum, it's another +6 weapon. You don't want to mess with this guy. I mean,
no.
But I miss with these articles, that they're great when it comes to specifying the god, and they stat out and all the items. But to me, that's the least interesting bit about a god, because you're not supposed to fight them anyway. So to me, I want to know their backstory. I want to know how their outreach in the world, who are their enemies and their friends, and their story as a god, meaning who served them.
I agree. I think that's where your later articles for like
here we go.
That we saw in Dragon Magazine near the end of its run. Greyhawk gods were far superior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meaning here's more like what they call gods for a war game back in the day, where your backstories were not particularly important. You just wanted a piece that you could put on the battlefield that was superior to anything else. Mm-hmm. But D&D has evolved a lot, and Greyhawk as well, since those early days.
Absolutely. Yeah. But this is the style of the old school guys. I mean,
exactly.
This is what they're into stats.
Point out to it that's one dimension that is great to have. But I mean that we should creative minds, and there are stories and articles later on. But I also think there is room for more creativity in the Greyhawk community to add even more cool backstories and stuff. Look at the fragments and then build from that, so to speak. From
especially about the servitors, like the saints and things.
Yeah,
like that. For example, how could a god like Foltus or Palor not have this whole panoply throughout history of saints exactly. I mean, those kind of gods just scream for that.
Yeah, and who's killing it? Where does he come from? What culture? Where was he?
Sponsored him.
Yeah, exactly. Who was he, or was he a soldier somewhere, or a fighter mercenary or something back 4,000 years ago, or 2,000, 10,000 years? Was he an old Iridian from way beyond they came to the Flanese? Is it Becluni? Is he Olman? We don't know, and I don't know. That might be written somewhere, but I want to know more about the the myths and stories and from Kellen, meaning where did he get who was the first warriors that followed him and stuff.
But that, yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get that detail. You don't get that detail with 90% of deities. You get
no,
you get a
but what I
tidbit.
mean is that it's important to see what we want to have as
Right.
well as what we do have. So to speak. The missing pieces are as interesting as the pieces that are there. In
it's just a wish list thing.
Yeah,
True. But we do get more of Merlin and Kellen in the slavers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so I have them here, and we'll show you. Hey, David Key, thank you. So I'm going to go to the full article here. I'm going to go to the full one. Why not? So the slavers is going to, and I jumped ahead here because we're sticking on Kellen and Merlin here. If we come into the middle of this, and you know what, I should have had the picture up. Here's Highport. It should be right around here. You have an adventuring party outside of Fallowfield with two specialty priests, and this is the first time. Now it's back further. You have Finafin Kella. She is a specialty priestess of Kellen, and you have a Tanasoff. He is I think is he a gnome or a dwarf? I think he's a gnome. Specialty priest of Merlin, and they have an adventuring group, and they're fighting. I can't find it. They're fighting evil. Basically, there's an evil necromancer, and so when you get back down here at the end, you have, you know, I have better ones of these. Let me do this. I have better, more concise ones. Who's dinging me? Of course, it's one of my guys dinging me. Don't they know I'm lying? They do it on purpose.
I'm sure
they do. They do.
Yeah.
So let's do Merlin first. There we go. I condensed it down. So here's Merlin's specialty priest, and it says right here, lawful good hero god of magical technology. It does not say demigod. Now we made the mistake of saying that it's demigod. I never, even back then when this came out, I never equated that there's a difference. Probably a mistake on my part.
Possibly, Jay, though, at the same time, in your defense, how many Greyhawk actual citizens or people in the world of Greyhawk would be able to make that distinction? Probably very few.
True.
He would probably just say he's a god, a minor god.
That's for clergy in churches and theologians in universities, colleges, great colleges. They will have debates over it. Normal people will not even understand what they're talking about.
But not for what spells they get.
Well,
now you're getting
probably
on something I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what do they get? How much power do they get? And this is where, this argument's gone back and forth, because when this came out, and I had made up, as everyone knows, here's the NPC ones are not in here. Here's my specialty priest spell book. My book with all their powers and abilities. This is all player character specialty priest. So I'm like, great, I have this done, but I don't have the spell list, and I developed them off because their spheres are here. And it says lawful good hero god of technology. It doesn't go again into a lot of background here. It just tells you what's going on, how the priests work. It doesn't say like how he became a god, a hero god. It doesn't say any of that. It just shows you once again that his powers. But I wasn't thinking about it like Anna. Anna and I come at it from different perspectives. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, great! Oh my God, these are written up. And these are Alan's got a great specialty priest of Merlin, and she goes around and she tries to fix things in the adventure, like technologically wise, make pumps better, wells better, help give them cleaner water, that kind of help with irrigation. And that's kind of the way I see this character class, especially priest class working out, and that's a cool thing. So here's Merlin's abilities, and I have a separate spell list for him with their special abilities down here. Now here's the smoke powder deal. A lot of people don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, don't use it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal. Smoke powder weapons work for priest. So smoke powder is not gunpowder. Smoke powder has to be magically induced. Am I correct on that, Carlos?
Yep.
It's not chemical. Yeah. That's the difference between the two. So St. Cuthbert may need a minor deity right hand. I think they have one or two. We'll see, because I got a whole bunch of saints here that Gary gave me. All right, so that's Merlin. Let me go here, and let me go to the Kellen one. And once again, these are not background, really. Neutral hero, god of swords. Sword skills and balance. Once again, I have him under demigod in my game just because we didn't have quantify what a hero god was all the way back in the time. With all the spheres are here, so you can build up a list of spells real easily. And it just talks about, once again, it's only in the past century he's gained this ability to empower priests. No details. No details about those fights or background history. So, once again, it's left up to your imagination. But it was, the priests are statted up, and that's like gold to me. That was like gold in the second edition era. And we have a ton of Kellen and priestesses, priests and priestesses. You know, Casey's got,
I would say, didn't Casey have one too?
Yeah, half orc, right? His half orc was a priest of Kellen, absolutely.
I just remember you guys mentioning it before.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see nothing wrong with that jump to hero god. I didn't realize it's not demigod. So any comments on that? Commentary on what? Because I have a chart that shows them, that's one of our close friends made of all these, and I think that's the next jump. How about that? Here we go. And do you know who that is? Where this came from?
Who, Kellen?
This whole hero god list.
Oh yeah, that's Alan Growy.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
okay, so the Grow Dog off his site has a really good listing.
Who else could it possibly be?
Has a really good listing of hero gods. But he lists references here, and he has right now. This is as of the last time he updated this. Darren, and he puts Gygax and Dungeon Master's Guide First Edition. I guess from the item, because there's no other mention of Darren as a deity that I think of as in DMG First Edition. Daoud,
do not blaspheme. It's my favorite hero goddess. Do not blaspheme. She is definitely divine.
Darren's awesome. I agree. I'd love to know more about Darren. I really would.
Then in that case, I'd be happy to tell you all about it.
Let's do it.
But we'll wait. I don't want to steal your thunder yet.
Let's go through this list here. Yeah, Daoud is in here from Shokanth, which makes sense. Yes. Okay. Joydi is in here because of her masks from DMG 1. And then Kellen, Kiatim, Merlin, and Heward is mistakenly not on here. But Kellen is. This is weird. And then Kargath from Kargath is on Gygax and DMG 1 as well. And there's other names. I don't know who they are. Solo Landril. I don't know who these are. Vathras.
God of wave motion.
so all right, Carlos, have at it, man. Darren?
Well, hold on just for a second before I get up there, because I'm pulling up my notes right now as we speak. Please. This is stuff that not everybody gets this stuff, so you gotta took me off guard here. So just give me a moment. Okay.
Mike,
in any case, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Mike. Anna, any commentary on this list?
No, I think it's kind of cool. There's some Nasarn. Never heard of him before.
There's ones on here I have no idea where he's gotten them from. Yeah, I don't know.
There's no references on.
If you've not heard of them, they probably come from this.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because there's like a 70. I have that list in there too, and it's like 70 or 80 deities or something on it.
It's a whole.
Earlier in this conversation, by the way, we got a question on the sidebar that was, who would you like to see? What god would you like to see sponsor somebody to apotheosis in Greyhawk? And I thought that was kind of a neat question.
Yeah.
And if in case you guys are looking for something here while I get these notes.
You mean like who should be elevated?
Yeah, who should be elevated?
That's a tough one. I mean, because I don't know. And here's the thing: if we go from first edition to second edition to Living Greyhawk, I don't know who's been elevated and who's not in the Living Greyhawk era. And it appears Mike knows a whole bunch of them who have been elevated.
Mm-hmm. Too many.
Well, we know Caius and Vecna were elevated, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And here comes the Quasi-Deity list. Heward, Nozzle, Qual, Tyranny are on here.
I'm not about Tyranny being a hero deity. I mean, especially from what we know in canon about him being a Nalfashni in Return of the Eight. It's too much of a leap for me. That's too much.
And so, okay, you and Alan disagree on this. Now, this is part 1 of this Quasi-Deity page, but here's part 2. And if Dale's on, I'm not sure if he is. Gwizdindian of the Cranes, the Walker, which I know about the Walker, and then all these Ividian dying ones. Queen Yolandra, Shandor, General Azdarian, and the Walker.
Yeah, Azharadian, you know pretty well from Azharadian's torch from the Fellowship of the Torch.
Oh, I thought it was Anazander. They changed the name?
Oh, I'm sorry. You are right. I'm thinking of Azharadian's Glaives is what I'm thinking. Sorry.
Excuse me, everyone, for my cough. I apologize.
No, you're right.
Away. All right, so this is convoluting things more from Alan's list. But that's okay, because Alan is... it's thorough on things. But so
he's very thorough.
So, all right. So you got your notes there, Carlos? I
do have my notes, but I'm going to ask a very quick question before we do this. All right. Now check this out. We know from the first, and you have to remember, I'm the first edition guy. So everything I'm going to cite is a 1E rule. All right.
Sure.
We know from first edition that if you are if you have a patron deity and you're a cleric and your deity is not a greater god, you can only get 1st through 5th level spells. They will not be able to grant you higher spells than that.
No.
Now, if you look on some of these lists of these characters, maybe you're talking about they have maybe a 15th level ability as a cleric themselves, right? If you are the cleric of a hero god or a quasi-deity, what kind of spells can you get from them?
Okay.
What level can you get?
Greater, 7th. This is old school.
Greater gods will give you anything. But according to the 1E deities and demigods, you cannot get 6th and 7th level spells unless you worship a greater god.
Lesser, 6.
Okay.
Demigod, hero god, quasi. I don't want to go below 5th because then no one's going to play the character. So it's
but some of these gods can't even cast 5th level spells themselves if you look at their level.
I agree 100%. Now, Ayuz, who's a demigod, can get 6 because his home plane's prime material, according to the quirk. So if you look at Eyes Evil, he's got 6. The reason, and I would say hero god should probably be 4th, but because of the way we play, and we kind of max out 9th, 10th, 11th level, I allow them to get 5ths because I say, well, their home's prime material. For the most part, most of these. So I allow them to go to the 5th level just because I want the deities played, especially priests. That's just me personally. So it should be 4th, probably. You agree?
I was just curious. I don't know. I've never had to deal with the problem myself in a game. I've never had a priest that's ever someone that's aspired to be a priest of one of the hero gods. For me, unfortunately, people always pick the common gods, which I don't like because I always like the weird esoteric ones, but
I'm talking hero gods, Gary. I'm not talking quasi. So, because I have specialty priests of Kellen and Merlin, and I have saints too, which I equate to the same as hero gods. So that's where I have, and we'll get to yours tonight too.
Oh, that's an interesting thing that Gary throws out there. If you're getting spells from the hero god, it's actually their sponsor that's giving.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
And the way I've sold it is that they can all grant the spells they know. So if they can cast 9th level spells, they can grant them. The problem is that they can only have very few. I call them agents because they're not all of them are clerics. I mean, they can be paladins or warlocks or witches or lots of different things, so to speak. But when they grant spells and powers to someone, they can only have so many. So it's the number of clerics and priesthoods, meaning a quasi-deity or hero deity can only have a few, maybe a handful, and a major god can have hundreds or maybe even thousands. And then when you move up the ladder, you can have millions of them. So that's the strength, meaning and then they can, when they reach godhood, then they can outsource that to who becomes priest and cleric. They don't have to maintain them themselves, so to speak. They can, the priest can recruit other clerics and get them into the faith. So it's not the spell level, it's the number of clerics they can have and give spells to. That's how I limit them.
We're getting deep into the weeds here, which is great.
Yeah.
So
you'd use none of it. No
haven't
quasi
used it
or
much,
hero
but
deity.
yeah, I use it
clerics
more for
ever.
world building purposes than for nerfing characters, so to speak.
So here's the ones I have that are of this level. And two of them, because Kellen, Merlin's, Saint Benedor, which we'll get to, which is
Yeah.
the newest one. I've Red Knight, which is ripped off from Forgotten Realms, because instead of the what's the dead lawful neutral brother of Hexter and Heronius, what the hell's his name?
Stratus.
Yeah. So instead,
Which, by the way, I should mention, one of my folks from Castle Entertainment is writing a massive, very, very cool article right now on Stratus. So if you have any interest in that god, be on the lookout because it's coming soon.
oh, nice.
Good to see.
Yeah. So that is for me, Carlos, it's a great question. It's gameplay. I am thinking in the terms of gameplay and having my guys having fun. And I don't want someone, and I know there's other things we could give them, but I don't want someone playing a specialty priest of Merlin and then stopping at 4th level spells. I just don't want it. 5th is high enough. You get some good spells there at 5th. It's not overpowering like 6th or 7th. And but rarely do we even get a character who can cast 7th level spells in my game, even mage. You have to be 14th level magic user to cast 7th. You have to be a 16th level cleric to get 7th level spells.
It's brutal.
Yeah, so rarely does it even happen in my game. It's a great question. Absolutely.
It was just a thought. I mean, I'm to be honest with you, people are running games outside of first edition and I don't really understand quite how quickly you will be able to become, say, in a 5th edition game, how quickly you could get to that point. So it might be a bigger issue in games like that than it is for me.
My players have played 2 years and they're 4th level. So
there you go. Okay, so it's about the same then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to get to Warlock patrons, which Will has at the end. I promise. We'll definitely get to them. So, all right. Mike, do you have a favorite on this list? And then we'll go to Darren.
On the extensive list,
Hero Gods and Quasis at this point, which you haven't gotten to Saints yet.
Yeah, I'm a Kellen guy.
Yeah. Have you ever played a cleric of Kellen or just someone who
No,
worships
like
Kellen?
I was saying, I've never had clerics for hero or quasi-deities. As far as I'm concerned, they're the same thing.
Have you had worshippers for them? Like someone who
they are patrons for, like in this Hold of the Sea Princes. Kellen is much respected, maybe even worshipped, but he is an actual person that they all aspire to be.
Okay.
And I don't go into minutia of he don't have temples or anything. He has altars or shrines.
Very cool. Awesome. What's up, Tina?
You should have told me that before I ran that cleric in your game at GaryCon.
Yeah.
Quickie minor announcement. I'll do it again later. Tomorrow night, our new sponsor, Portrait Workshop, during our games, giving away our first ever beta for their Portrait Workshop beta. First giveaway ever for them tomorrow night's game. Just putting that out there. Awesome stuff. So, Darren, let's hear about Dan. I want to learn.
So in September of 2020, those of you guys who have been on my Patreon, and thank you very much if you are, I did the whole month was all about Darren for me. Darren was a very important character it turned out to be a very important character in my home game that I had been playing in since the mid to late 70s, or the late 70s, I should say. I had a character that found a Darren's instant fortress, and I was obsessed with it. I thought it was the coolest magic item ever when I was a kid.
It is cool.
And so my character was kind of obsessed with finding more out about that particular person. My DM at the time was like, well, I know nothing about it, so write it. Okay, fine, I'll write it. So what I wrote was kind of a long time in the making. Essentially, Darren, as many of you know, she was sponsored to Apotheosis by Deleb, the god of reason, the Iranian god of reason. But before then, she was actually a soldier that was in the former Great Kingdom. She was actually born in a -152 in the city of Rel Devon. Her mother and father were proprietors of a billet house for young military officers, and studying, watching the soldiers as a little girl, she decided it was what she wanted to do. Unfortunately, back then, women were not really allowed to be to aspire to great heights within the Great Kingdom's military. So she chafed within the service for a while until she decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own mercenary party. She started a mercenary company because she had this unbelievable, uncanny ability to foresee tactical maneuvers, particularly offensive tactical maneuvers launched upon different sites. Her mercenary company began to become more and more notable and in demand for people who had castles or knew that they were about to be laid siege to have their company come, when their symbol was of course the griffin, which would later become Daeron's own personal holy symbol. It's mentioned that she has a relationship with griffins. Eventually, her apotheosis was assured when she disappeared in the middle of a battle with Deleb. When Deleb sponsored her, she would, in her lifetime, she would create many great castles across the Great Kingdom, some of which are mentioned by note in canon. But her biggest claim to fame is the Daeron's Instant Fortress, as many of you guys know. Well, what I decided was that the Daeron's Instant Fortresses, none of them are the same. They're all different. They all are an experimentation that she had. Some of them are, one of them will become 2 towers. One of them becomes a small redoubt. One of them becomes, one of them buries itself slightly underground and becomes almost like a bunker. There were 22 of them in total. Oh, cool. And they were all placed around different parts of the Great Kingdom. And they're uncovering them to this day still. The reason why she did that is because she foresaw a day in which the Overking would be assailed on all sides by his enemies, and she wanted the Great Kingdom to be able to defend itself. These were placed in these very important, crucial. She knew them to be crucial strategic places. Well, the scroll for the activation and how to activate the Great Kingdom's sovereign defense against its foes was left in the care of the Overkings, who squandered it away. It's missing now. Nobody knows where it is. And they were never activated. So adventurers are continuing to find them all over the land. And so her whole life's work was really amounted to nothing in the end, for what they were intended on doing.
No.
Yeah.
So the Daeron's Instant Fortress in your head is just one of a whole bunch of different variations.
Yep, it's one of 22 different variations. Now there's one that's actually there's several of them that she made that are even a tier higher than the
it's not an artifact, is it?
A couple of them, yes, and they're called they're actually called Daeron's Magnificent Manors. And yes, and I have a couple of them that are artifacts, one of which you may know to be something else. So, but yeah, she's the unshakable one, and she's got a pretty important god in the history of the Great Kingdom that has been kind of lost and forgotten throughout their history.
A paladin, lawful good paladin.
I run a paladin of Daeron in Alan Growe's game.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, and I am lawful neutral paladin. Yeah, I really am no good on offense at all, but I have a hell of a defense. At first awesome. Level, I think I had a -2 armor class.
So, is that still on your Patreon going back?
It is still on the Patreon, and I have art for. It's like one of the most poorly kept secrets out there, so I guess I might as well mention it. Many people may know that I have commissioned artwork for several of the Greyhawk gods that we've never seen before. People like Jorami, people like Alatur. I have one for Daeron as well. I think it's wonderful. I think it's, so you guys will get a chance to see them sooner or later.
That's awesome.
Through the Castle Entertainment thing. And to answer the question that was posted to us before, one of the other gods I love is Jorami, who gets no love. and I would love to see Jormy bring somebody from to Apotheosis. Jormy has no named people out there, by the way. There's no culture that is associated with her, but because she's a goddess of volcanoes, I kind of always associated her with the Soul. I like the thought that she was actually a friend of Renette's, and she would sponsor a god of revenge to the Soul pantheon to get a pound of flesh from Erithnal for murdering her friend.
So I have a priest of Jormy.
Oh, cool. So did I. And it was in one of the modules.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, there was an article in our journal which helped. And Alan plays. She's a little bit of an effete snob from Hardby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the places it says that she's worshipped.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Exactly. Which is cool. But yeah, and Jormy's the lesser goddess. I
Mhm.
recall. Yeah.
Mhm.
So very cool.
Well, I didn't want that guy to think. I can't even remember who asked the question, but I didn't want him to think we forgot.
Yeah. So you have lawful neutral in later editions, but she could be lawful neutral or lawful good. I think. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think lawful good works perfectly.
Yeah, definitely. So note, I've linked Carlos's Patreon up top there, and a shout out, and it's I am a member of Anna's and Carlos's both, so it's worthwhile.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no problem. That's a great story there, man. And I
Oh,
never
thank you.
downloaded it. I'm going to go after this is over and get some of that information. And I'm going to see, Carlos, if I can create a specialty priest for my game on Darren. I think my guys would love her.
I would absolutely love that. And if
Yeah.
you want some help with that
Oh,
as a
absolutely.
joint project,
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, Darren has been a feature of our stuff for a long time.
Very cool. So, anyone else want to talk about any of the other ones on here? Like Kargath. I know that Alan has from Kargath's Quill.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Gary Gygax and Dungeon Master's Guide 1. So it's just from an item, and that's it. I mean,
Yeah, it's the actual magic item, the artifact of Kargath's Quill.
Okay.
So it's quite possible that creating an artifact is a prerequisite. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
by any means total.
Heward's
Because
mystical.
no one made more items than Heward. He's just a Quasi-Deity.
Right. So you're saying, though, is that Alan's background for it, and
No,
it's a
I'm just
named, or
saying-
okay?
No, but it makes a lot of sense from what you're saying.
Kargath is in this.
Okay, Kargath's in there.
Yeah. So if anyone you want to blame blame Eric Mona and Sean Reynolds and Fred Wyman.
Well, we know Sean Reynolds and Pramus did Kellen and Merlin in the Slavers reference, so and that was more Pramus. But yeah, that makes total sense. So they expand on it, but let's go to the part. Let's go to the next part here, because this a few dragons later, one of the most eclectic covers here from Dragon. Also, one of my favorite an adventure in here made me want to play a game system I never played before. And I never did, and that is Wacko World from Top Secret. I was like, what a great idea. Yeah, and it's right before the article before that. Look at this. Yay, let's order Dragon 64. I'm just kidding. Here we go. Now, Scott just passed, if you do not know this. And the irony of this was, and please, there was a couple posts out there noting, his passing. I ran an adventure online a couple weeks ago, right? That tied in Threshold of Evil, which is his adventure as well, super high level adventure out of Dragon that we had done years ago. There it is. I've showed this multiple times, right, by Scott Benny. I had reached out, and Adam knows this. I had reached out to Scott at least twice a year for the last 2 years, trying to get him, but I only had a Facebook connection. He never responded. So I would have loved it. See you, Pat. I would have loved to have him on, but it just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. And now he's gone, and what a shame. But let's honor him by talking about this. So he decides, let's one up the game and set up these saints, right? This is a great article. I mean, this is like, I saw this article when I was a kid, and I was like, this is genius. Saints, why not? Right? And it says in here that saints are on par with a quasi-deity as far as power goes. But it also says here, particularly a paladin will be able to. Saints are usually of good alignments, not all the time. There's anti-saints, you know, and they're talking about like 16th levels of point in Greyhawk. Now I'm assuming this is a Greyhawk conversion. He's not really talking. There's no Forgotten Realms. It's not at this point yet, really. So, any commentary on this before we delve into these 4 saints in here? Which a lot of people, these are really cool.
I think we kind of touched on it earlier before, but in my opinion, I think we should see a lot more saints than we do.
Yeah.
Well, Gary gave me 3 that I don't know anything about. Or maybe they're in the Mike's article. Okay.
It never occurred to me to create saints.
We did. We have kind of, but we don't need to get into that. All right, first one, saint, and these saints. It sounds like that these are from Scott's campaign. I would have loved to ask him that, and that's my guess. Is that these were all elevated? And one of these is so legendary. If you don't know, you're gonna be shocked. All right, so you have Saint Cyril the Relentless. And this guy just went around, spent his entire life trying to kill a death slot. That's basically the story. At least there's background story in here, Anna, too. Yeah. It tells you what happened. And so, you know, he's lawful neutral. He has Chaos Breaker. Yes, St. Patrick. That's funny, Patrick. That's right on. And so there's one. Saint Bane the Scourger. Now, patron saint of those who hunt undead. Now, there's a second one that kind of is a little more specific, which we'll talk about. That Gary is kind of elevated. So, and this is basically your undead hunter. You know, +6 flaming trident. That's a great item.
Trident.
Yeah, that's cool. So it says here, Bane was responsible for the death of the witch ghoul Cool, which I bet you it was Zool.
Which dragon is this?
This is Dragon
79.
79, yes.
79, thank you. Yep.
Bane was, so I bet you that was Zool, and they just changed it to Cool, Khuul, right? One of Orcus's greatest servants. They nearly slew Orcus on his home plane. Well, that's pretty impressive. So that's the second one.
Yeah, you're big time when you Orcus in his own home plane. That's
dead gods.
Whew. He gets better though. Spoiler alert.
All right. Next one's is the greatest one of probably of all time of a saint, and you all know this, and that's Saint Kargath. So this is the origination of Saint Kargath with all the Joe Manganiello things on the T-shirts and all that, right? And everything that all the elaboration that Gary has done, it all comes from this article right here. This is the start of Saint Kargath. And of course, he's a fallen paladin, right? He unleashed the demonic terror on the prime material plane and a mad bargain for personal power. So he is the king of the Death Knights. Pretty nasty. And I know there's been a lot, and here, his weapon, Gorgon the Shatterer, that's like canon now, right?
Right.
That's absolute canon. He rides a glowing green chariot driven by 6 nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what way to make an entrance.
In some respects, the saints in that article are more badass than the quasi-deities.
Which I'm okay with, because I think saints are easier to be worshipped because of that. They have it appears that they're not just adventurers; they've accomplished something that that people would revere. I think that's the difference. Does that make sense?
You know what this is kind of revealing to me a little bit, though? It's revealing to me what the power shift a little bit, because you're talking about a +6 flaming trident. Well, by my recollection, doesn't only Alona have like a +6 defending sword? I mean, we're talking about some real low-level saints here, and then we're talking about an intermediate god. Shouldn't she have something a little bit more badass than that?
Yeah, and Kellen's got 2 +6 weapons.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's revealing to me where,
to the rule.
as you start thinking about the way that the power slope is going. Not that you should be fighting any of them, period, but it's just kind of a more of a trivia thing.
So I
I could tell you
love.
something else about quasi-deities
Yeah.
along the lines of their power creep, let's say, or not really power creep, just how they're heads and tails above the regular mortals. One, if you look at the original 4 that are at least end up in the glossography, they all have psionics.
Yeah, everyone had psionics. It was a god, though, right? Back
And
then.
they all have a 7th step.
Yeah.
Comeliness. So it's just little things like that. There are always exceptions to the rules, and they're just a little better than everyone else.
Well, I think you're right on the power creep. It's like, how do you differentiate at this point? You know, and remember, in the world of the Monty Hall game, you're thinking that's how the quasi deities. To say that all those quasi deities are more powerful than Mordenkainen saying something, right?
If Mordenkainen is not next in line to be a quasi deity, then no one is.
But the interesting thing is that the gods don't have more than personal powers, which is, to me, is weird. Meaning, if you're a god, it's not the personal power you have, it's the power you have as a god, that you can do things that no individual can do. Meaning you can reach out, you have power simply because you wield the power of influence over lots and lots of people. Meaning it's institutional power rather than personal power. It's not a +6 on a weapon. It's that you can muster 6,000 clerics with all their followers, and you can institute revolutions. You build, meaning you can sway the opinions of millions eventually, and stuff like that. That's where I think
some of the later ones maybe fit that mold, Anna. Like Azeralk lives on the pinnacles of Azeralk.
Yep.
And he dwells there with the 1,000 immortals, which are all paladins. Of him,
meaning you send them out and they go. Meaning Rao might not be powerful at all, but he is the one that whispers wisdoms and so on in the ears of kings and queens and barons and lords around the realm. So his influence is enormous that way.
Enormous.
Cuthbert has his influence is because he goes out and preach to the common man to start thinking and doing, and gods and various level, they work in different ways to accomplish and spread their power and influence, so to speak.
Johidi is another one who more subtly has powers beyond her stat line.
Absolutely.
With her, she brought the Iridians out of the West, and she is all about this espionage. And then her children, her chosen ones, they're not her literal children, but her children are all those people on Alan's list. They're the ones. So she's a hero god, and they're all like quasi deity, or should be.
And I also give the gods powers, like when you reach the level 1, which is the first on the deity level, then you get special senses that you can perceive the world through a single praying worshipper at a time. So when someone prays, you as a god can see and hear what that creature sees and hears. So and that kind of reaches higher and higher up, so to speak, and eventually you can perceive everything that all your worshippers see and hear and think at all times. So you are fully aware of your whole.
Can Caius see through any of his sons?
It depends on the power level of him, so to speak. So I have the most supreme ones. They can see and hear, and they automatically detect when someone whispers their name on the same plane.
Ooh.
And then when they go really high, they can hear their name being said anywhere in the multiverse, so to speak. Then you're really powerful god.
This is where I'm going to differ with, and we're doing, by the way, in 2 weeks. Gavin, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we're going to have Ed Greenwood, Eric Mona, and Eric Mengi on, and we're doing Deities of Greyhawk and Realms,
that's cool.
right?
Awesome. Yep.
So I think, and Carlos, see if you agree with me or not on this, and you and Mike as well, that Greyhawk deities are maybe through avatars, but they're nowhere near as intrusive as you get a feel for Forgotten Realm deities. I think it's more on the
That's
fringes.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the god, because if you think about Ius, I would say he's been pretty intrusive, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think Ios is a special case because he's the focal point of evil in the game, you know. So and I should he ever have been a god status? I don't know, but he has been, and he's got worshippers, and he's got those great priests and all.
That's why he's a god, because he's given that because so many people fear him and worship him.
Right.
Yeah, I think too. You have powers. People like. We know that Cord has been siring offspring all over the Prime.
Yeah,
we know that. So I guess it depends on the god you're talking about. So I do agree with you in some respects, but in others I disagree. It
depends on how you want gods to be gods in your campaign. Meaning, how do they become gods in your campaign, or not?
The last thing I want is the campaign to be about the gods. I want the campaign to be about the characters and their strife. Does that make sense? But I like them to use the gods.
The Forgotten Realms comparison is totally different. What happened in Forgotten Realms was for that novel line where the gods are stripped, and then any mortal could come along and become a god, take their powers. Mm-hmm. In Greyhawk, it's a little different. It's not like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, meaning there should be to me, I see it as a way of world building and building campaigns. So once the character reaches a certain level, they start getting friends and enemies up at those echelons, so to speak. And if they have, it's a bit like having political power in the real world. Once you want to mess with the business of the world, then others who wield that power is going to see you either as an asset or an enemy, and that will shape your career. And that's how I want to see my campaigns. I want to what the characters are meddling in. That mean, and just like the Quasi and the demigods and stuff, they are the beginning of that kind of meddling process of becoming up to godhood. Okay. And high level characters get enemies in that, and that's not the gods directly. It's their churches, their priests, their paladins, their other champions and stuff who will come after them if they become a threat to the church or the god. Their purpose, so to speak. So Max, I see it as a campaign tool. Yeah.
Max, some have walked on Earth, like Farling, the Wanderer. He's wandering around the Earth. Yeah. So, all right. So Kargath, one of the things that was only one line in here that I always loved, and that was that the shadow was lost when Kargath battled the legendary Hainer to the White Guard, which I was like, I want to know more about that person. And then, and then lastly is Saint Eleanor, and Eleanor was kind of felt like a throw-in in this article because he young priest and not super high level. Well, 17th level cleric, I guess, is high enough. My gosh, yeah.
Do you see his powers?
Like Duke Grenell could be the next cent, or
Golden Shimmer.
That would be something.
Yeah,
Asmodeus is promoting them and up to join them in hell and become hellish champions.
So he has a link to the plane of time. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Is
that an Istus prodigy or something, or
what's that?
Is that an Istus prodigy or something?
It doesn't say. There's no reference to any Greyhawk deities in these articles.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think these came out of Scott Benny's campaign. That's
it says that at the beginning of the article.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's cool, meaning there you have it, and then you run with the stories, and eventually they become part of the campaign. Yeah.
Yep. See, so that is, and like I said, Scott did so many great things, and it's a shame we couldn't get him on to a discussion. All right. So that kind of ends up first edition, and Slavers is second. Carlos, did we miss anything in a first or second edition?
I don't think so. I mean, we glossed over a couple individuals, but I don't think it was like we only briefly mentioned Joedi, but
I think
very important to the Great Kingdom because of the children of Joedi. But
I think Joedi gets developed afterwards, doesn't she? Really?
She gets developed afterwards, but she's mentioned directly in the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide.
So here's my question, and it appears, and let me bring this up. Okay. There are all these children of Joedi running around in this Iva the Undying set. Is that true? A lot of
Yes.
them? Okay. Is she in here?
No.
Okay.
Herself, she is not in there.
Okay. So she's still really, as of this,
Who you were talking?
Joydy.
Joydy, okay.
So she's not developed yet here either, really. So this is at the end of 2nd edition, still not developed. Mike?
I think the mask, her lore on the mask, you might find in the 2E, the Magic Item book. Shoot, I just had it the other day.
That's the thing, Amy. I'm trying to figure out if we can figure out where a lot of her information is. It's in the Book of Artifacts. Okay, so the 2nd edition Book of Artifacts. Mike, is there background on her in there? I didn't bring that book up. All right, so there's what, a couple?
Yeah.
Is there an entire page?
There's a history, but it's generic.
Okay.
But this book also goes into a lot of the ones that you would see in the 1st edition Demons Guide. So it's just a little more lore than what you get before. Just, snowballs on top of each edition.
Carlos, what about you with lore on? Do you have any you've developed or?
Well, only slightly. Johadi in my is being a spy mistress god, sort of. I kind of have her every once in a while. Her presence is felt on the Prime Plane in the Great Kingdom, looking in on places where you might not expect her to be, but they're going to become very important in the future. So it's almost like there's a small cult of her faithful that chase around these, like storm chasers almost, that look for these places where supposedly she might have been, so they can be in these areas of where some great importance is going to take place in the future.
Okay.
That's
about all I've got for her that I've developed personally.
Is her mask given out by her intentionally to?
I think so. Just like
her causes
allows the hand and the eye to
or the Mesa St. Cuthbert.
The eye is in the Slavers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The eye is actually one of Marques's duplicates has it to start, correct? Marquess of the Red or Black? One of them had. One of Marquess of the Black, I think, has it in the Slavers reference. The Green Eye of Jodi. I'm almost positive.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I missed that totally then.
Yep. Are you ready? It's
See,
in that tower. It's either in that tower or she
Not
has
the
it.
mask, but some
The
other
eye, the
item.
green eye. I'm almost
Green
positive.
eye.
Now I have to go on this search. I apologize, but now we must find it. We must find it. I'm positive it's in here. It should be coming up, right? No, it's this way, isn't it? Is it higher up? Oh my God, this thing is all over the place.
While Jay's looking that up, I'll post a comic about
I just saw it.
Solo Randrel that.
Please do.
Ooh.
Land of Divers. That's not
a
divers.
Quasi-Deity that no one cares
You
about.
have it, by the way, Mike. You can go ahead and you can throw up the original art for.
That'd be awesome.
For Darren that you did for me way back when.
Yeah, if I knew where that was.
Yeah, I didn't know if you happen to have it locally. Yeah, I might have it locally. I'll look for it myself.
It's probably on my other laptop.
Here we go. This is going to drive me crazy now. I know it's in here. I know it because.
Can't you search for something?
I'm not sure if. All right, here we go. I know she has it.
Let's check.
Yeah.
Do a search.
Should I do a search on Marquess? I'm looking for the Marquess of the Black stats right here.
Best of Greyhawk.
There she is.
So $1 you have. You say the Best of Greyhawk has info on Johidi. Aha. I'm sure I have that. And it's probably a lot of formative stuff from the old AOL days on what eventually becomes like stuff written in Orth Journal or the Living Drive Journal, is my guess.
Green Eyes came up. There it is. Green Eye of Joy-D is in here.
Oh, yes, I recall that. I thought you meant she actually had the mask. I'm sorry.
No, the Green Eye.
It's a
I
different
was
Green
hearing
Eye.
you
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's the
recognize
Green
that.
Eye. So, yeah, there you go. Very cool. Yeah, she's hiding. There it is. Okay. The small crystal barrel has 3 distinct enchantments. So, you know, and it allows you. You cannot be located with detect spells while hiding or visible. So it's pretty nasty. This gem was enchanted through contact with Joy-D, a hero goddess of deception, espionage, and protection given to one of her followers. So there you go. Plus 25% to hiding shadows. Not super powerful, but decent. So there. Okay.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
You know, it's just one of those things that just came into my head now. It's like, well, that's 2 items that are documented. And I don't know if any. So, Mike, in the 3rd edition era, you have. Can you put up the book again? What book it is with all the deities in it? You have Living Grail Gazetteer. Was it the Living Grail Gazetteer that had all the deities listed?
They have a lot. They have more than the earlier ones.
This actually has a pretty good list.
Yes,
Yeah,
and which
list.
number is that?
3, I believe, is there? Or was it 4?
3.
Okay,
3.
I have it here. Let me put it up.
That's Azarok on the cover.
Living Grail Journal 3. Okay. What page? So I'm not randomly scrolling through again.
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's find this.
Yeah, there's the staples. So it's the middle. It's the centerfold of gods.
Oh, here are all the gods. Here's the listing, so it's got to be before here. The Blood of Heroes. Excuse me.
So what this article did, real quick, is it up jumped a bunch of quasis to hero god, and then it added new hero gods for just about every playable race. So now you have a halfling, a gnome, a half orc, elf, etc., dwarf. You know, they all have at least one hero deity in here.
That's cool. So Azarok is right here, right off the bat. There you go. So he's hero god of light, purity, courage. Darren's in here. There we go. Okay, so at least we have what she looks like.
Right.
Charmelaine. That's a ripoff. Oh my God. Charmelaine. That's okay. Gadolin. Daoud's in here. Ah, now I got it.
Another instance in which Mike's supposition that an artifact, creation of an artifact, might be
but
a
why isn't
requirement.
Heward on that list?
Gendwar Argrim.
Bunch.
But you might have to make them, not
Joy-D's here.
Get them.
There's
Steal
Joy-D.
them. Yeah.
All right, so this is the most information you can have on Joy-D anywhere. Oh, look, there's a picture of Darren here too. This is Darren. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay. Kellen's in here. Kiadam's in here. There's Joy-D with her mask. Kargath. Okay. The Master Thief. So now we know where that comes from. Merlin's in here. Caius. Roykin. Nazarn. Ones I have know nothing about. The hero god is of cruelty. Ooh. Aruthnal. That's pretty disgusting. There's Tolosandrol. So this is where Alan's gotten these from. He didn't note that it was from this one. Good, Mike. This is a home run, man. Great job. Vathras is here. There we go. This is
Vathras is a good one. It's one of my favorites in that.
Hero god of anguish, lost causes, and revenge.
Vathras is the only one that I'm aware of that started out a demigod and then got demoted to hero god.
Yeah.
For anyone who's interested in the chat, by the way, I just dropped the link for the art that that Mike did for me back in the day, the original art.
Nice.
Of Daeurn that's in his comics.
Based on what's in that book, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Carlos likes his Daeurn.
That's really
I do like my Daeurn. As I proved way back when.
Okay, so this is a great...
I'm hoping she'll sponsor me one day.
No, Asarak is Zalen. They're just baddies, right? Do we need to elevate every lich? Do we need to elevate every single lich to god status?
Well, if the shoe fits, I mean,
I mean, seriously.
I mean,
they have
quite honestly, I could see an argument for him. Maybe
Yeah,
not somebody
Heavy
like
Lich.
some
Yeah,
of the
but
other ones we've seen, but I could see an argument for him.
Yeah, but I think liches have two aspects that makes them close to godhood, and one is that they escape death, so to speak, and keep their powers. They don't just become dumb. They can still level up, and they can keep their profession and magic abilities and stuff. And they can also store their essence in a phylactery in something, and then project themselves away from it, so to speak. And those are two, I think, divine characteristics that liches have by nature, which means that they are moving in those scary directions, so to speak. That I kind of,
yeah. Well, and I agree, Anna, that's and some of them are so you don't hear about the ones that get killed, right? The more powerful
exactly.
ones.
But they're on their way, so to speak, in some sense.
Yeah, but do we like I said, do we need every single one of our liches ripped off into the greater scheme of the WotC world? Right? They're all, yeah, right, Carlos.
I have my own thoughts about that.
Yes, exactly.
Well, they don't need to be gods to be stolen by Wizard Coast or something else.
Exactly.
They just need to be famous and have good characters, and they can be used.
So true.
Which is not I don't see that as a bad thing. In a lot of ways, it's good, because that spreads the word of Greyhawk indirectly into other circles, which is not bad. A lot of people would never figure out where it came from, but it's still kind of cool. Yeah.
So
did we ever cross? Something I thought we were going to cover, but I'm not sure if we ever did. Did we ever mention who some of the hero gods and quasi-deities, who their actual players were back in the day? Did we ever talk about that?
No, we didn't, but we can. Absolutely.
Well, no, I just wondered if anyone was even interested in it. That's all.
I'm going to see if I can find my rogues gallery here somewhere.
Well, we mentioned Don K and
I mentioned Don K.
Tom Keo, right?
Yeah. I didn't know if anybody had mentioned Heward or any of the PCs like that.
Not aware.
No, we haven't.
Played those.
We could talk about that later then. But I think there's other ground I think everyone else wants to cover. So.
Thank you very much there for that nice word from Tabletop Notch. Good to see you.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, yep. So, well, this article, Mike, I wouldn't even have known about it unless you brought it up, because there's so much in the Living Greyhawk era that there's too much to absorb. So thank you. This is great. Because now you have a reference point for at least Darren's in here. You got something written down. With Darren, you got Carlos's Patreon, which is going to be probably A, number one. This is B, right? But Joydy and all the other ones, you have at least somewhere you can go to with some information. And that's a good thing, see that you have it here. So I really appreciate that. So don't get mad at me, Gary, but I'm going to share your information here, okay? People should know this one. All right, so let's do the next one. Any others we need to talk about that go from the Living Greyhawk era? Quasi, Saint. Now, Kargath took a life on his own. Gary helped with that, but Kargath really went, right? And all the Death Knights became their own legend from this point on. A lot of it had to do with Gary's writings, but a lot of it had to do with it was just such a cool idea.
Exactly. You write good stuff about them, and they become legendary simply by that.
Yeah, half the hero gods in that article, you never hear about them again. And so it kind of loses a little of the punch. Like, okay, Nazarn, half-orc hero god of gladiators, there you go.
Well, they were trying to do the be-all, end-all for everyone. I understand that. So they made up some, right?
Yep, they were trying to cover all the bingo cards, basically.
But there hadn't been a lot of new data put out. A lot of it was rehashed, except for, believe it or not, Sergeant stuff was the only new stuff that came out in the second edition era that was really considered official Greyhawk, because a lot of the stuff for Bruce Cordell and stuff was all generically based, right?
Yeah.
So there's kind of a hole here, and I think that's what they were attempting to do in this era, was to try and run with this and say, look, we need to. I mean, Azaralk is really cool. It's a great idea.
in a perfect world, there would have been a follow-up article to that with more saints.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Just like there would have been a follow-up to all the Malden stuff that they were going to do too, right? And they just never got around to it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They were all over the place during this era because there's too much going on. I mean, they couldn't keep track of it. I mean, you had all these regions. I can understand how overwhelming it was. So they're kind of throwing stuff up.
There you go, Gary. Post-Fest Saint.
Yeah, a Saint Post-Fest? A Saint Hero God Post-Fest or something like that.
Yep.
All right.
I'd be fine with that.
Yes. That'd be really cool. So, any others that need to be mentioned until the latest one that's gotten elevated, which we'll talk about? Nope. Okay. All right. Let me, and I close something out real quick. Give me 1 second. And then we'll bounce around back. But we need to, this one is awesome. Actually, we got to do Warlock Patreons too. We got to get to that. Earth Journal. Here's so the Vault of Deudes here. Saint Benedor. All right. This is a great one. What page is this on? Page 21. All right. Now, how come it's all over the place here? There we go. The Bane of Death Knights. Very cool. And Gary wrote this a few years ago, right? Not too long ago. So Saint Benedor, there's great. Look, there's early history in here.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about years 176, the duel, and it's
how to do it.
It's the way to do it. And Lord Kargath's in here, and so he's tied it into to that, and which is great. And talking about his retirement and the miraculous return, and reemergence when he was released from Castle Greyhawk in 586. So a lot of really neat things, and so he has him as elevated. It says right here, the demigod is brown hair streaked with bits, so he has been elevated to that status in my game. I have Saint Demigod, same difference in my game, right? So with that, with all the information that I took from this, I made up in my game, especially, and we have multiple ones of this. Because my players, once again, and are you kidding me that I didn't put it in here? Sometimes I'm a dumbass. There it is. Sorry. The Priesthood of Saint Benedor powers and abilities. Tie that in, and here we go. They have resistance reduction to Death Knights and Undead, and some other things, along with their spell lists, their specialty priest abilities. Tie that in. Boom. Love the character. Love the deity. So this is the way you do it. Background, history, why they're elevated, how it relates into Greyhawk. And then I think Azeroth comes from Ward's hardcover. That's the Pinnacles on the hardcover, isn't it? You're right, Gary. Good point. Good point on that, on the Greyhawk Adventures. And that's where we get, and I'd love to do the same thing, Carlos, with Darren. Really would. That'd be awesome.
Shows you what I know, because the cover, because it was a pair of Griffin riders and their armor does not look Becloonish to me. I always thought it was the two lords that serve Mordenkainen. So that shows you what I know.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing, and I'm just saying that I'm enlightened. I didn't know that.
That's a question. Maybe we can get to Jim next year at GaryCon.
Yeah.
A lot of things to ask him. So a great written up one, and just note, last one I know of out of the plethora of hero gods, saints, and quasi-deities. Now, Gary put down these three. Saint Carmichael, Saint Trobain, did I say that right? And Saint Ferrant. I don't know anything about those three. So, Gary, if you can elaborate there. He put them down on my Discord. I'm like, okay. Anyone there know?
More than
no, I'm not familiar with any of the three of them.
That's Gary Hawk there.
That's Gary Hawk.
Yeah.
The Prisoners of Castle Greyhawk are a Legends Lore topic. Yes, it can. It could be a great Legends Lore topic. Absolutely. A really good one.
We were talking a little bit about, no one covered Crovis, that I think about it, but I was I was thinking we've talked about the hero gods, but one of the things we've kind of talked around it is their legacy and what they've brought to the campaign, as not necessarily as far as players go, but this goes a little hand in hand with what Mike was talking about. As far as the magic items that they've created. Now, a lot of them we know through their artifacts, but there's a lot of them that are non-artifact, like the feather tokens of Qual, or the things that appeared in Gary's Company of Seven article, or the Kiatom's ointment, things like that. I think those bear a mentioning as well.
Yeah. Gary, you're right. Bastion of Faith, one of my favorite ones, and but I always saw Saint Ferrant as rehashed as someone else. I thought Saint Ferrant was, another one that was named as Greyhawk, and they just changed it, but I could be wrong.
Right.
So, yep. Saint Carmichael the Conflagration. Saint Carmichael the Conflagration. There you go. There's probably another one. So, Carlos, why don't we do that? You want to talk about some of these characters, who you think they were, for the quasis and the heroes?
Yeah, somebody mentioned Qual earlier in that, and he's one of the few of them that really don't really have an analog player character that I know of. But at least the members of the Company of Seven, for the rest of them, you talk about, for example, we mentioned Tom Keo being Kiatom. And from my understanding, the character was quite different than he's presented in canon, where they present him kind of like this ranger, or is he? No, he's like the monk. No, I'm right. He's a ranger character. No, he's the monk character. The monk alchemist character. Forgive me. He was much different in the original source material that was happening in Geneva on the lake at the time. Merlin, we mentioned, was an analog for Don K. Don was a huge Wild West fan. For those of you guys who don't know much about his life, he was Gary's best friend. And so Merlin was created kind of as a nod. In fact, the Boot Hill game was created, that was Don's fingerprints all over it, but he was the driving force behind Merlin. Zagig, we all know from Gary, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these characters, and it goes to show the whole way that the Greyhawk setting was built organically from the inside out, where a lot of it was, at least, where what was happening in their game at the time was either adapted material for publication or directly from there, was just kind of things that actually were happening in the game. The game was like a gigantic play test. So,
and they're still finding their way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's what a lot of people forget, is that early first edition.
Yeah.
We always go back to this. Thor and Odin were the first two deities they used.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any. So Saint Trobe might be new influence of Saint Cuthbert. Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're a 5e player, it's up now. I got to give this due, because William Henry Dvorak did a lot of work on this, and this is awesome. I mean, this is something that Carlos and I will probably never use, but it's
no, but I sure commented the hell out of a lot of them.
It's beautiful.
I loved it.
The complete hero deities, warlock patrons. Okay. So I've seen the Greyhawk Companion blog by William Henry Dvorak. This is still available for download on his blog site. It's kind of where to find it. Okay. So here's his list of all the warlock patrons he's done: Azarok, Charmelaine, Darendelle, a lot of them right from that 3rd edition article book, and some other ones. Caius is in here. Rock and Faith is there. So he's got 12? More than that. 15. So you got a whole listing of these that you can utilize in your 5e game, and each one is done here and got its warlock features, expanded spell lists, pact magic, and it's done very concisely, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think especially it's so easy to lose the flavor of the setting when you're doing things like that, and I think he did such a good job in every one of those entries, making sure that you felt the flavor of the particular deity he was referring to.
Yeah, and it's great that someone took the time, just like Greg Gronyard, right? Oh my god, my brain just shut off. Joe Block did all
Joe
that,
Block,
all
yeah.
the work,
Mhm.
converting all the spells from Greyhawk Adventures to 5e and all the,
Yeah, and
you
all
know,
the domains and stuff.
Yeah.
and yeah.
yeah. So there is good, really good 5e data out there if you just know where to look, and here's one of them.
Mhm.
So Will's really doing very well with it.
And as a matter of fact, some more of the stuff that Joe has done even extends to some of the pantheons that exist over in Western Eric. So stuff that you haven't seen before.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
I don't necessarily like what Western Eric looks like or the flavor of it, but for those of you guys who like
You know what?
raw, I mean,
Yeah,
that
he revised the Bakloonish, for instance. I like
done,
that. I
done
like
very
his,
well.
Yeah, really well.
I didn't
Yeah,
have
the
this.
expanded pantheon for the Bakloonish is really nicely done.
Yep. And he got rid of Al-Akbar and some of those kind of too much real world reference for my taste. So he did a good job on that.
So I didn't have this up. I had it on the first screen. See, so does that count as a there you go, as a wrong button? Yeah, I guess it does. Emote. So Azarok, Charlemagne, jeez, Dairn, Daoud, Gadolin. Let me just go through these real quick. Gendwar, Heward, Joydy, if I said that right. Kellen, Kiatum, Caius, Merlin, Nazarn, Roykin, a prankster. Okay. Vathras. And that's a flan god, huh? Flan one.
Ooh.
There you go. Those are the ones he's done.
Roy, you're killing me.
What's that? What's that? Oh, Aquaman.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Look, for all of Len's flaws, he had a couple interesting things, right? For some reason, he had a fixation on Aquaman. The 2E Warlock Witch.
We've all got our things.
Exactly. There's a saint or deity for Costermong. Fruit and veggie.
I was going to say, Michael never stopped making fun of me for Dairn now. So
there is a god for fruit and veggie deities, and that god is in N1 against the cult of the reptile god, right? Is it Tethys? What's the name of the deity in that? In N1. That's an agricultural god, right?
yeah, I'm trying to think of his name.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I may have one right here. Do I have one right here? Did I give it out? Oh, I do.
Is it America? No.
Yeah, Marika. Is it Marika?
That's from Orlane.
Yeah, Orlane. That's it. Yeah, Marika.
That's America. Yeah, that's America.
Okay.
Or Marika, or have you?
Yeah, it's in here. It's in Against Called the Reptile God, maybe in other publications.
That's the Temple of America. Yeah.
America. Yes.
A local deity or whatever.
Of agriculture.
Say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Great. No. There you go.
See, I read my modules sometimes. Yep.
So, what points haven't we? Let's round this quick. Anna, Mike, Carlos, bring up some other things you want to talk about with these on this subject, please. I know we've gone over a lot of them. It's good.
Well, from a playing standpoint, from somebody that's either a player or a DM, the hero deities are super duper cool for me, and they're really cool for two main reasons. Number one, they're a little esoteric, and people who don't have a great footing in the setting, as many players don't, even a lot of DMs don't. It's new material for them. It's stuff that you can surprise them with. Their introduction into, or their influence in a campaign can bring a real breath of fresh air into a campaign or into a game, or just a project, because you're bringing in source material that not everybody touches on all the time, which is really welcome as far as I'm concerned. But the other thing is, they're not so high level that your players can't deal with them. They can't interact with them on some level. Now, I know the word deity off to some degree, but you have to remember these characters really are not that much more powerful than Igwaliv or Ayuz or someone like that. And if you can imagine your characters actually meeting them and having some sort of an actual interaction with those characters, they can certainly do so with a hero deity.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a very, if that's always been something you've wanted to do, was how would your player characters deal with actually meeting a god? These guys are perfect for you.
So M5 Tying just asked a great question. Do Demi and hero deities have full temples or just shrines? I'd say small churches and shrines.
Well, let's look at Finafan
Fina Finkella? Yeah.
Fina Finkella from Slavers. She's trying to establish something for Kellen right now. And and in my game, I mentioned before that there was a guy who had made this martial kind of a retreat, and Kellen showed up there too. I think that, so you're going to have shrines and like you said, very small, people will probably view them as cults across the Flaness, because they haven't gained so much mass appeal, but I think that they do exist.
Yeah, I see. Not all of them are sponsored by gods, I understand, but like, let's say there's a Temple of Deleb, and in that Temple of Deleb is a library of all this knowledge, and then there's the Dairn section, right? So couldn't some of them just fall under other temples?
Well, that's like Mayheen and Palor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Mayheen's is already an established god.
Yeah. But I can see it that there might only be one place. That there are only clerics and priests in one temple in the whole world. Meaning, if you want to go there, it's like the Oracle of Delphi out in the desert. You have to go out to that place, and that's where the temple is, and that's where you can meet the worshippers or the priests and stuff. And people, they hear about this, and you can make a whole campaign just going there, so to speak. It could be the campaign, not the end goal is to get the powers or to become a cleric or a worshipper or something or join this cult. And not all cults need to be evil, so to speak. You can have a cult of Kellen, meaning the best swordsmen in the world. They go there and train. It's like Asian monks, but with swords and stuff. And they kind of, and it's placed somewhere out where this mystical figure from history called Kellen was the greatest sword master in the world, and he was buried there, and now there is a cult, and you go there to learn how to fight better than anybody else, so to speak. And you have to be there 10 years and prove your worth, and that you're not a threat or something like that, and you're not tied up in the real world, and then you can become a legendary and learn from the master himself, or blah blah, whatever. You can spin up something cool for your campaign from a few sentences of this.
Absolutely. Well, for example, Anna, linking right into what you said, mine's a little on the city scale. My duelist schools from the duelist class are all, they're all mostly 90% of them are Kellenites, right? Because they're all using that style, and that's kind of the connection there.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, interesting. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. You can develop it in all different sorts of ways, which is really cool.
Yeah, meaning that they're interesting. I just took Kellen and as an example, but it's interesting. He might still be there and teaching, so to speak, and leading the cult himself.
You need there's a heraldry you got to do is Kargath's head skull.
Oh yeah, that one is bad. So that was a quick and dirty job for my own campaign, and it should not have been released past that. So it needs to be redone. Definitely. I have better ideas.
So Mike, what do you think? Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have more ideas for the to change for the Knights Protectors too.
Awesome.
I just realized how the shield should look like, so I'm going to put in another one that people can pick and choose from. Yeah.
So Mike, what are your thoughts on everything we've discussed here?
Well, one that I don't know if we covered was Crovis.
Yeah, we have.
Block created.
Yeah.
Quasi-Deity that has always really interested me. And to the point, like I have an entire notebook
Wow.
of Crovis stuff that I haven't finished. This is like 15 years old.
They have blog posts, future blog posts.
Uh,
No, don't
but-
here. Come
Give
on.
me-
I don't know.
We
I don't know.
wanna
This is,
see,
I'm
wanna
sitting.
see.
I'm sitting on this.
Oh yes, but
And-
yeah. Mhm.
Give us
I
a
have some
thought,
ideas.
a thought or two. Just one idea that you
Crovis is like really old. This is like ancient history stuff, so it takes a lot of research to
Okay.
put him into history.
Okay.
Mhm.
But that's what's always intrigued me about him is, he's like, I guess the best analogy I can think of is he's like Forrest Gump.
Always around.
He pops up in these pivotal points in history, perhaps.
That's cool.
Michael,
It
was
has-
he? Do I remember correctly that he was like he was sponsored by Tritherian?
He is allied with him. I don't know about who sponsored him, or how far he goes back.
Okay.
That's part of the mystery to him that I'm kind of exploring, or used to explore. I haven't touched it in a long time.
My notes in my game on Crovis mentioned that I never have actually used him, but I kind of thought that he might be allied with Stratus instead of Tritherian, and when Stratus fell
And-
from view, so too did Crovis.
Who knows?
That's what I ended up doing with him.
And yeah, Antiquitas. It's Dragon 167. That's all we have to go on.
And is that See the Pomartian Die, or is that a separate one?
Yes,
It's
that's
same-
the one.
Yeah, okay. Yep. I completely missed that one. Forgot that there was a Quasi-Deity putting in there. See? We're not all infallible. I know we didn't touch a lot of the ones that are supposedly inhibiting and dying. I guess the Walker's kind of the coolest one out of all of them. But
No way, Gwydison.
Gwydison is?
Gwydison.
Okay.
That's a powerful one. Yeah.
So we'll need to do that in a future show when maybe we get Dale back on, or someone else who's an expert with that. I don't know enough about the
Well,
right side of the map.
Erdi lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all most of them are children of Johadi that have been influential in the whole history of the Great Kingdom.
Very cool. So hopefully you got some things out of this. We wanted to talk about ones that we knew about and where to find them. You got some first edition, second edition, third edition, and fifth edition data, that you can utilize in your game. And always I love throwing in. My guys are all about variety because they short attention span theater. So it's like we want to try something else new, and that's why I always limit when we do a new group. I always limit to one new specialty priest. That's it, because it takes forever to write them up. But if I come up with the idea like Saint Benedor, which we wrote up, everyone loved it, and that's why I'm really excited about looking into doing a Darren one. I think that would be really cool. I think that may possibly fill something that the Red Knight has taken that we pulled out of Forgotten Realms. But I think because he's kind of battle strategy, I don't think was Darren battle strategy or battle defense.
He was defense, fortifications, and defense, fortification, and strategy surrounding both.
Okay, so they may work. They may fit in a little bit. It may not matter because Red Knight's another. She was actually a follower of Tempest over on that. I was like, this character just seems like it's Greyhawk, and it worked for us. So it fit a niche. So that's I'm going to really brag about all the ones I've stolen from Forgotten Realms and at the discussion in 2 weeks. So can't wait. So is Egwell's mother considered a quasi-deity?
David? You do a whole show on her.
Yaga.
And Baba Yaga, yeah.
Baba Yaga, I don't think is a deity at all, right?
Well, I guess for me, it's the whole if the shoe fits. I mean, I can't imagine her not
It has
being.
an artifact.
Yeah, I can't imagine her not being
More than
one.
one.
More than one. More than Pestle, too.
Yeah, I think
So-
they
Yeah.
force it. Tough
Yeah,
one.
she's a tough one to pin down, though, for sure. I agree with that. I don't know. I could see an argument for both.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do in your campaign is fine, right? That's the great thing. Just like I said on Sunday night. Yeah, this guy says yes, maybe more. There's You can't, do whatever makes total sense in your campaign. Whatever feels right for you.
I know
is the way to
my
do it.
players fear Baba Yaga more than St. Kargath. Of course, that might be because of how I ran things.
So, any questions? Any final questions from the audience before we do some shout outs here tonight? And then we'll do the giveaway, and then we're going to raid into Will, who's got his Rook Roost game running now as we speak for Greyhawk. So, last questions. Hopefully, got a lot out of this discussion. I really think we tried to hit all the bases.
A lot about saints.
Yeah.
What's that, Mike?
So I learned a lot about saints.
Yeah. I and we have Scott Benning to thank for that. And just think about that. How I mean, Kargath is like universally known now. So. Yep.
And now Benidor's more getting into the consciousness.
Kargath and Benidor are getting
to start working on the others.
Yeah.
I've been pushing this Kickstarter hard, man, and Will may be on Sunday night because we're still TBD on Sunday. I got 7 options for the show Sunday night, so I don't have it finalized because it's on Easter night, and I can't get an answer from anyone yet. But by tomorrow afternoon, I hope to have what the show's going to be, and Will may be involved in the show Sunday evening.
Well, time out for a second. Did you just say that Will has a Kickstarter running right now?
Rook Roost Kickstarter.
Man, I'm so out of the loop right now. Okay, thank you for telling me that. I need to get
someone please link it.
Yeah, if somebody wants to link that'd be great.
Yeah, and it's 1/3 of the way to the $3,000 goal, and it's been on for 5 days. So anyone who can,
I gotta change that.
Are there any deities that people have added to their campaigns? Mac, yes. Are you ready? 9 Greyhawk deities.
Damn.
Here we go. From a Dragon Magazine article, Arileth Letherinal, elven god of drow hunters. Ilmater, deity, what do you call it? Finnish deity that's in Forgotten Realms. Leviator, Uko, Red Knight. I think the Stormlord. I call him the Stormlord, but it's Talos because I just wanted a god of just I love that deity, so I just brought it over, and we call him the Stormlord in our game. So there you go. There's 5 that I brought over to Greyhawk. So. Yep. I imagine there's others that have done that too. So please, you got Will's Kickstarter. You also have Jeff Searcy's King Bashman's Kickstarter. If someone wants to link that too in chat, please do. Because he's got and it's a 5e publication, but there's no reason not to support him as well. So, all right.
Okay, I got one more.
Yes.
Real quick. Almost missed it. So someone asked if anyone made a god in honor of someone or added a god. I did. I just found it. So my friend Brian, we elevated his character to the hero god of dragon slayers. And coincidentally, today is his birthday.
Oh,
no way.
Of course, he died like 12 years ago, I think. That's why we did that.
Awesome. A raise a toast.
Yes.
That's awesome. Hail Dragon Slayer.
And it just amazed me that there was no like hero god of dragon slayers. It's a niche that wasn't filled.
There you go.
It's up for grabs. Yep.
And you got some good background here on him too. Now, was it Brian made it up or you?
That was Brian's character. He's the one who actually originally played the wizard Mortellin. That was my screening for a long time.
Oh,
cool.
He was never smart enough to actually play a wizard, so this character was more his level, so to say.
How do you? So Troy asked a question. How do you classify the Koton's ability to manifest gods if enough of them believe in them? Well, isn't that a quirk of their insanity? That if you believe something, it turns into real.
That's how all my gods come. Oh, some of them come that way. Others simply become gods. They are creatures, and if enough creatures fear them or worship them, they become powerful. Sometimes gods can come out of almost thin air, so to speak, if enough people believe in sun or death or whatever, then that can lead to things, or that a tree's magic or whatever. Enough people pray to it, then something happens.
So, Gary, I forgot to as well. Serenus, which I have, which is from the Finnish article. I'm sorry, the Celtic edition article out of Dragon Magazine, and the Master of the Hunt, which I ripped off the Malar from Forgotten Realms and used that. So we have, and they're specialty druids, both Serenus and the Master of the Hunt. I'm gonna have a coughing fit here. Why don't we do shout outs while I'm out in the other room coughing here? Mm-hmm. So take it over, Mike. Be right back.
Shout out time.
Yeah.
Well, now would be a good time to post something on Greyhawk, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, because I forgot to do that. Okay, and done. Okay, so on Greyhawk, got a new column. It's the Sea Prince's Nobles 576 Common Year.
Oh,
so in my Orth Journal article, The Unconquered Sea Princes, I had detailed like the 30 different noble whatever regions of the Hold of the Sea Princes. And I referenced a lot of the NPC in there. I take those same NPCs and I kind of jazz them up a little more, and I put some campaign information in there. So I started with the one that has probably the most canon information. That's Prince Gian II.
Awesome.
But, ideally I would like to do, that would be 30 posts, right? 30 nobles. And much like my previous column, the old Land of 1,000 Villains that I did for, in honor of Jason Savoda. This is kind of along the same lines. It's a series of NPCs. I'm starting to put out more game material of my own for the blog.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice tribute too, by the way, Michael.
Thanks, man.
I thought that was very cool.
And I think it was Antiquus who brought it up. Yeah, it would be nice to come up with some NPC homages to Jason and Lynn, or Leakum, etc.
Very cool. Carlos, did you want to shout out what's going on?
Yeah, man. I am pleased to tell you all that absolutely nothing is going on.
Oh,
I'm doing absolutely nothing right now. I'm on vacation right now, and I needed to be. I really pushed the needle hard to get all the Gary Con stuff done, so I'm taking a little bit of a breather. But while I'm doing that, I'm doing the art requirements, the final art requirements for Fireland, and I'm also doing a deep review of it to do some editing work and things like that. I actually leaked part of it to my buddy Gaetano over there, Grendelwolf's Lair, giving him a sneak preview of the section about the Knolls of Fireland, aka the Hadalraza. So you guys will be able to see them, hopefully. You'll be able to see Fireland here pretty soon, I hope.
Ooh,
I liked it, and I'm going to be working on it. I'm going to be working on it hard. Yeah, Antiquitous, I did. My wife, for those of you guys who don't know, my wife, she just recently got a clean bill of health from her cancer, but we have to be very careful about her health. And so you can't imagine how much airborne and stuff I was pounding just to make sure that I stayed away from Concrud that whole time.
I wanted to ask you about her at the con, but I
I know it's dicey when you're dealing with somebody with health issues. I understand that. But believe me, you'd be surprised how gratified she is to hear that people care and people ask questions about her. She smiles every time, and she always seems to remember too who the people that said something like you, Michael. She's always, oh yeah, I remember he said something really nice. Oh, there you go.
Glad to hear.
Yeah, she's doing good. But I'm really doing nothing right now, to be honest with you, except for regrouping a little bit and getting ready to for the next phase of what Castle Entertainment's doing. The next thing I intend on doing major project-wise will be I've been, some of you may know that I just released a module that was a commission piece. Dave Kahn out in Minneapolis, they requested a module for Blackmore that I did, which was called Across Blackmoors. Go figure, a little bit on the nose, but all right. I hope you guys, it'll be up on the website here pretty soon. I hope you guys like it. Those of you guys who want to check it out. But after that, I'm going to be doing the next GrogCon module, which will be out in October. And I'm hoping between now and then to have some, I'll be giving out some edit copies of Fireland for some people in the community to peruse and see what they think of it. We'll see.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Thanks. I'm working hard at not working hard, I guess.
Yeah, but
like Gaetano just said, oh yeah, thank you very much, Gaetano. Gaetano just said he liked the preview, so hopefully you guys, the whole community will like it as well.
I'm sure we will. Yeah, I had
especially because the price of it is free.
Yeah, I had also had a day off today because the power company decided to upgrade the grid here. So we were out of power from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So that was good. So I sat and read and took a long walk and stuff. So I had a day off. But for me, it's actually getting my damn website back up and running. And it's starting to get there. I have a new homepage and I put the latest version of the Easy Zoom map is up there. And links to some of the other stuff, and more is coming. So it will not be. I will not sit and polish and do a whole website and then release it. So we will come updates every other day. There will be stuff added and stuff because now the basic infrastructure is in place, and that was the big thing, so to speak, to get all the basics and stuff. And I've upgraded the infrastructure and. Now I have 500 gigabytes of space and a whole bunch of others upgrades and stuff. So hopefully I can host a lot of the stuff on the site itself and don't have to use Dropbox and other stuff. So I'm going to start doing that and put stuff up there. So that will be some of the first tests to do, because that would determine how I can go by. So there will be some links and a provisional link page with links to some of the big stuff and so on, so people can start using it, and so we can see if that actually works or not. So so that is coming. And then I just posted, thanks to Mike coming up with this awesome topic for today. I posted something that I was supposed to have been sketched out for like the better part of 3 years, but I haven't really written it down. So I wrote down my ideas of the divine tiers, so to speak. So 10 different power levels for gods and what they can do and how to kill them and how they rise and fall in power, so to speak. So it's not rules for characters or clerics, it's rules for world building. So it's guidelines for world building and campaign building. That's how I intend them to be, so to speak. So an inspiration for how you can use them as a guideline for figuring out how a church work or how conflicts between deities or power struggles and stuff like that can happen between religions and deities and stuff. So that was the intention of that. So but right now it's mainly to get the website up and running, and then there will be more heraldry and a bunch of other stuff coming too. So yep.
All right, maybe I can talk. Major allergy attack. You ever get that tickle cough on the back of your neck and you just can't stop coughing? Combined with all the other stuff that's going on here. So
there's a lot of allergies and stuff.
Yeah, it's bad here. So let me run through this real quick. I apologize for all this. Yeah. Tomorrow night, Norwell Headhunters. We're back in the city of Norwell, the Wandering Antagonist. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give anything away. But I got a really cool idea, I think, for this one. A little bit of a surprise. First time ever, Portrait Workshop. We're doing a giveaway with our newest sponsor, as you know.
Oh, cool.
Yep, we're giving away a full beta, which is like,
It's a
Just-
cool software.
Yeah.
It's awesome fun.
Absolutely. And you know,
Be
it's
very
cool
useful.
stuff, and allows you to do
Yep.
a lot of altering, and you know, so you have a visual, you know, combine that with your figure and that, and you get a nice visual of the character. So yep,
Mhm.
that is tomorrow night's big giveaway, first time. Okay. Um, Saturday morning, a BattleTech one shot. Woo! Second one with the new recruits. What next? That way I don't have to title a freaking BattleTech game, right? So Patrick and Ancient Gamers playing it. Balford's playing it. Phantom's playing in it. The Ever Mysterious Tim's playing in it. My buddy Walt's playing in it. We're gonna have a fun time. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Join in if you want to watch a bunch of carnage with, you know, dudes and some female characters riding around battle mechs shooting at each other. There you go. Oh yeah, cool, Zump. Well, this will be a fun one. So that's a Saturday morning special game. You know, don't know about Gavin yet. All right, it's up in the air. I may have a big guest, may not. We'll know tomorrow afternoon. Then we'll finalize what we're going to do on Sunday. Okay.
That sounds very interesting. Yep.
Well, let's hope.
Big guest.
Let's hope.
Possible. Yep.
Go ahead. A week from Saturday, and I have the second Saturday night special of the month, the new recruits. So now I had someone drop, but I said, you know what? I'm just going to add. I asked Bones and Darling if they want to play with new characters, and they're in. So I got Stella Luna playing. I got April Stiletto Assassin. She's playing. She's playing a Fire Elementalist. That'll be cool. Holly Monster's playing a Specialty Priest of Solnar Thalandra. So that'll be cool. And then we'll have Mike Disney and Taryn are playing in there too. It'll be a great one. That's a Saturday night event. Combine that with Stratagem, and I want to link the Stratagem shout out here because they have something new that no one knows about, and it's the second one there. The minis for Fandelver have come out, but they just don't have it linked so anyone even knows where they are. Now here they are. This is what they call the Masters Minions tabletop miniatures.
Okay.
Okay, 23 miniatures, and that said, it's specifically set for the Fandelver adventure. Now, I'm getting 2 sets. I'm keeping one. If I get them in time, that game, that Saturday night, I'll be giving the other set away. So you get a box of 23 miniatures. That'll be the main giveaway next Saturday's Saturday night special. Hopefully I'll have them in time. So that'll be cool just to see. But yeah, okay. And then as we continue on, next Sunday, Ed Greenwood returns with Eric Boyd and Eric Menke, and we're just going to talk deities. Sunday, April 24th. That'll be cool. Have a little fun with that discussion. And then the Saturday morning after that, finish up the month. Dark Hand, The Tale of Rattlebones. Danger on the Edge. So will be playing Rattlebones, and then Tim got all these players to play the guys with red shirts around them. And that'll be a special Rovers. That'll be a Saturday morning event too. So we got to stream every Saturday this month. Before I have another attack, let's do the giveaway. All right, and then let's raid because I'm about to try and make this. Try and figure this out. Last call. All right, let's go for signups and give people 10 seconds. Carlos, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate being invited. It's been a long time since I've been on, and it was a topic I really enjoy. So yeah, thanks.
It was a great discussion. I can't wait to really dig into Darren, your stuff there. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Mike and Anna,
Good
thank you as
Yeah,
always. Here we go.
Thank you.
The winner, Keith again, Roshi R. Keith, you on the claim? Is Roshi R? Yes. You tell me which two. All right. Ghost Tower,
Congrats.
Salt Marsh, White Plume, Puppets, Veil the Mage. You're close to those two. Okay. Before I really go into another fit, let's raid into Will. Rook Roost is this game is where and it's in CNC, running in Castles and Crusades, and will be that's what the Kickstarter is for that city. So please
I'd rather lose than get puppets. Oh, that was good.
I will
Yeah,
do that. See you all tomorrow night, 7:30, for a cool game. And we'll have the Portrait Workshop giveaway tomorrow night. Once again, thank you all for coming on, and sorry for the coughing fits. Just
That's happens.
life.
Yep.
It sucks.
Wait, that's for real? I thought you were doing a Doc Holliday impression.
I wish I was. Everyone have a great night, and see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Great show. All right, let me read into Will, and then we'll... Wicked. Oh, shit. Where the hell are they? There we go. Looks like he's got the map of Rook Roost up right now, which is cool.
Excellent.
See you soon. I'm just clicking the Ray button before I choke. Here we go.